What is going on, everybody? And welcome to this week's episode of the Nerd Crew podcast. I am your host, Andy York, your man, Andy York, and as always, I am joined by the one and only Jason Lee. Jason, how are you doing this fine Tuesday evening?
Doing decent.
Just decent?
Yeah.
You want to talk about it?
No. Let's
sure?
get right into it.
You sure you don't want to talk about it?
I think I got too much sleep last night. I
Like,
kind of have that problem.
that's a good
Like
problem to
12
have.
hours.
Yeah, but that's a good problem to have.
It depends on the day. Yeah.
Because I think I had like a solid 5 hours, 4 hours maybe.
That's what I get most nights. I get like 5 or 6 hours of sleep and then I just crash on
your
the
day
nights
off.
where I'm off the next day.
Right.
So I'm always off on Tuesdays.
Right.
And Wednesdays as well. So I like stay up late and then sleep in super late because I didn't set an alarm. But I probably should.
Probably. But yeah, if you guys are new to our podcast or our YouTube channel where we are currently live streaming, you can find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, and YouTube.com. Just search the Nerd Crew channel. We just unveiled during this episode our brand new logo.
It's fire.
Yes, it is fire. We went with an Iron Man theme because, well, Iron Man is the man. Plus, I like them all, but Iron Man looks better on the logo than anything else. So,
And we're kind of MCU fanboys, so we want to put that
yes,
front and center.
we are MCU fanboys.
Yes.
But I do consider myself somewhat of a DC fanboy because I punish myself and go watch their movies anyway.
Sure, I mean we love all kinds of different things, but I think we'll both agree that the MCU is kind of
Falling
the
apart
center.
quickly. Well, it's
Yeah.
been falling apart for a while. But we promised ourselves we would not mention Fishboy this week, so we're not going to mention his name until the end because we always mention his name at the end.
Yeah.
It's kind of just we love Jason Momoa, which I do. I really enjoy him. A lot of people hate him, but hey, to each his own.
I mean, he's built like a brick house.
He is, and so I want
I
you.
don't think he's a great actor, but I mean,
He has fun.
good lord.
He
yeah.
has fun. He has fun.
Oh yeah.
Plus, I'm pretty sure those abs weren't CGI, which makes me feel very upset with myself.
Right.
So, yeah.
You and me both. You and me both.
He is one ripped individual. But if you are new to our podcast and our YouTube channel, basically we like to talk about all things nerdy. Whether it's the MCU, whether it's the worlds of DC, as they are called now,
Mhm.
Star Wars, basically anything nerdy you can think of, we talk about it at some point. And we've been doing this since August, which is, it doesn't seem like it's been that long, but
Mhm.
that's crazy that we've been doing it for that long. But yeah, we are definitely excited that you are listening. And we always like to start off our podcast by talking about what we are into this week. So Jason, I'm going to let you start and tell us what you are into this week.
So what I'm into this week is kind of more of a hypothetical, because if you've heard of the new movie Vice that's just come out that I haven't gotten to see yet, but it's about Dick Cheney and it's got Christian Bale as Dick Cheney, and the director of that movie is Adam McKay, and he is a big comic book fan, so much to where he had a cameo of Galactus in the movie Vice, which has nothing to do with comic books. But he's a big comic book movie fan, and apparently him and Kevin Feige have had a conversation about this Silver Surfer movie that Adam McKay wants to make. And how he kind of described it is he would like to have like a bunch of crazy visuals, and he would want to make it like the Speed Racer of the MCU. So the reason I bring that up is because that sounds like the hypest movie of all time, and like the thought of that just gets me like super excited, and that's maybe the MCU movie that I'd like to see most. The hypothetical MCU movie I'd like to see most, apart from like an Avengers 5 or something like that.
Right.
That just sounds really, really cool. So I've had that on my mind for quite a while, you know.
Yeah, I am all for a Silver Surfer movie,
Mhm.
and a good one, because we've had one already, and it was well, it will be nice. We won't mention that. But yeah, what I'm into this week is school. I just started back with school and going back, so that's a lot of fun. it's not fun, but it's something I have to do to get my degree. So I'm looking forward to it as much as you can. Just getting the work and everything done is going to be a pain, but we're going to still do this every week, even though I'm in school. So this is definitely the highlight of my week. I'm looking forward to it each and every week. That's one thing. New World Nerds, who was in chat in our live stream, brought up the movie Prestige. Have you ever seen it? With Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale and Michael Caine.
No, but that was really good. That was a really good impression.
It's actually my top 5 favorite movies of all time.
Oh wow.
Because it's the way my brother-in-law introduced it to me is just two magicians that are trying to kill each other, which sounds really dumb, but then you watch it and you're like, oh no, that's actually a really good movie. So yeah, that's a good pick. That's a good movie to watch. If you haven't seen it, check it out. But yeah, this has been a slower week for the most part
until today.
Yeah, today was a big day, which we will talk about probably last because we want to save the best for last. So that's what we'll do. But I'll go ahead and let you start with our first topic that we were talking about. That's the Disney Plus leaks that have been coming out about the different shows on the streaming app that you need to always download and watch. So I'll let you go ahead and cover that for us as your mic falls apart once again 2 weeks in a row.
I may end up holding my mic again. We'll have to see. It's an ongoing saga that I hope is somewhat entertaining. Yeah. Dawn of Justice.
It's already better than Batman vs. Superman, so you're good.
So yes, the Disney Plus leaks that have come out recently. So these are kind of spoilers, and I'm not really going to get into the spoilers of it, but just kind of a general overview. So right now there are 6 series in development, which you may or may not have heard about, for Disney's new streaming service that's coming out next year called Disney Plus. And I don't think any of these series are coming out next year, but there are 6 Marvel series set within the MCU that are directly overseen by Kevin Feige. So that gets me really excited because this is a man
does a good job
who knows what he's doing with all these characters. So most of these series are based on existing characters that kind of haven't gotten as much development, who are kind of on the side, and all of them have really interesting concepts behind them. But basically the 6 that are in development right now, a series about Loki, a series about Vision and Scarlet Witch, but mainly Scarlet Witch, a series about Hawkeye, a series about Lady Sif, War Machine, and
Falcon and Winter Soldier.
I think I already got that one. Let me look one more time. And nope, I didn't say that. Falcon and Winter Soldier. You're right. Which is probably the one I'm most excited about. Mm-hmm. That one and Hawkeye. But reading through these leaks that are on 4chan, they sound very interesting. And if you're interested, you can go and look them up for yourself. It's sounding like these are legitimate leaks, but as always with a leak on 4chan, you never really know right. until the thing comes out. But if they were to follow all of these ideas, I'd be totally on board.
Yeah. So, if you want to see the spoilers, because it's not we don't know if it's fully true or not because we haven't seen Endgame yet.
Right.
So be careful watching it or reading it, because some of them give away what could be a big detail.
Right.
But yeah, when you were reading these off to me, they sounded like all of them sound like a really good idea. Mm-hmm. Which I'm all for more of these type of shows. To give characters like Hawkeye and Scarlet Witch and all these characters who probably aren't going to get their own movie, gives them a chance to really shine, which is what they really need. So that's really cool.
And I feel like with characters like Vision and Scarlet Witch or like Lady Sif that people don't already have a ton of investment in, or they may not be like the greatest fan favorite characters, you really need an interesting concept, which I feel like that's what they have there. Is a really interesting concept for a miniseries based off of them. Yeah, which,
hey, I completely trust Kevin Feige with anything he does. So I am all for that. Something else, we are recording this, if you're listening to the podcast version of this, that comes out on Wednesdays. we record this on Tuesdays, and today is the official 100 days until Avenger Endgame, which it needs to be like tomorrow. So these 100 days need to hurry up and
It'll come up fast.
Yeah, it will. Especially once we get past Captain Marvel, like get to Captain Marvel, I think it'll pick up more speed.
It'll come up fast, especially since I'm going to be counting down the days.
Yes. Yeah, I'm gonna have like
physically on a sheet of paper.
Yeah, I'm gonna have like a little timer and roll through. But yeah, the hype for this movie is extremely high.
Uncontainable.
The hype for this movie started as soon as Infinity War ended.
It started, honestly, back in 2014 when they said, hey, we're going to make all the way up to Avengers 4, and everyone was like, what the heck?
Yeah, and like 3 and 4 are going to be connected, so like that made it even a bigger deal. But yeah, this probably is the most, for most people, probably the most anticipated movie of 2019. Probably the most anticipated movie in the last decade, maybe? Question mark?
I'd say...
because Infinity War,
The Force Awakens.
Yeah, The Force Awakens
gives it a good run for its money. But if we're talking about like a pop culture event movie, I'd say it's between this and The Force Awakens.
Yeah, I would say that for sure. And people like the well, we're gonna leave that for another subject, because some people didn't like that movie. Yeah, but we are officially 100 days away from Avengers Endgame. So what I figured we would do, since we're 100 days away, kind of quickly, because we've done this once or twice, but that was a couple months ago. So I think we need to do this once again, where we kind of give what we are looking for, like forward to the most in this movie, like ideas or concepts or anything like that. So I'll let you start us off with anything that you are looking forward to the most in Avengers Endgame.
And that's because still in the first trailer we have no idea what's happening.
Nothing. In fact, I think it gave us more questions than answers, which is what a trailer is supposed to do. So.
Well, and also I don't know if we've touched on Kevin Feige saying that all of the trailers and TV spots, all the footage that's going to be shown before the movie comes out is going to be from the first 15 or 20 minutes of the movie, which is shaping up to be a 3-hour-long movie.
Which I'm all for.
And that gets me super excited because it's like I want to go in knowing almost nothing. Because if it's like the roller coaster ride that they're selling it as, I don't want to know a single thing.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. Things that I'm looking forward to, that I'm most excited for. I'm excited for a closing to this chapter of the MCU. I'm really excited for that. I think they're going to do it very well and very respectfully because the Russo brothers absolutely know what they're doing. And the guys who are writing the script, Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely, they've been writing Marvel scripts back since Captain America: The First Avenger. And they've written every Captain America script since then. They also did Thor: The Dark World, and I think they've done a couple other things. But they absolutely know what they're doing. And also as a follow-up to Infinity War, I know this isn't like a part 1 and a part 2, but I think that they're in such an interesting storytelling place right from the get-go. I absolutely love the idea that half the universe is gone and that it's just like the OG Avengers and a few more people. So those are the main things that I'm looking forward to, and I know it's going to be good because really this and Infinity War lead directly into each other. It's kind of like a, successor. So I think it's going to be absolutely amazing. But those are both kind of obvious things. But
yeah,
that's what I think of.
Mine's kind of like yours. The Russo brothers really handled Captain America extremely well. Because we're both not the biggest fans of Captain America: The First Avenger. I mean, it's okay. It's okay, but it's basically like any other origin story. Which origin stories for superheroes tend to be drawn out and not the best. But then, like when they picked up for Winter Soldier and Civil War, they really got the character of Captain America down pat, and like they really hammered hard who Captain America is, and so With this one, I think the biggest payoff is going to be for Cap and Tony. But I think Cap is going to get the more emotional one because I've said this for ever since Infinity War ended, Cap's probably gone. Which, you know, that's sad to an extent, but like that's probably the only way I can see his character going is by sacrificing himself because they made such a big deal about it in Infinity War of we don't trade lives. So I think that's going to come back around of him trading his life to save everyone else. So I think that's going to be a big key in this story. Also, and I don't want to look past Avengers Endgame at all, but I'm excited to see what they're going to set up for the future of the MCU. I think it's going to be, especially with this Fox-Disney merger going through, you know, Doctor Doom, Fantastic Four, the X-Men, Galactus, all these big characters that they finally have the capability of doing great movies for the Fantastic Four and for the X-Men. So I'm very excited to see what they're going to do in the future of the MCU because I think no matter where they go, like if they want to go Dark Avengers, which we've talked about, if they want to go Secret Wars, which we've talked about, you know, if they want to go anywhere that they want to go, I think they're going to excel at it and succeed at it. I think it's going to be great no matter where they go from here. So I'm very excited to see what they're going to do in the future of the MCU for sure. Because I'm sure they already have like the next 20 years planned out. Mm-hmm. So I think it's going to be awesome to see what they do.
Absolutely. It was either Kevin Feige or the Russos who said that Avengers 4 or Avengers Endgame is also going to be a setup for what's coming next, mm-hmm. even though it's a closing chapter for what's happening now. So yeah. I'm glad it's going to be 3 hours long because that sounds like a lot to fit.
Yeah. I bet like the first 2 hours and 30 minutes are like the actual story, and then like the last 30 minutes is like setting up, or less than that is setting up the future of the MCU, which I'm all for the future. So
yeah,
that kind of leads us into this other subject topic that we talked about. What movies, and it doesn't have to be Marvel. You can also bring up a DC movie. What Marvel or DC superhero should get their own either movie or like even a Disney Plus show, or you know, because you've already mentioned Silver Surfer. What other character would you like to see on the big screen?
That's interesting. And I didn't think about this beforehand.
I'm just throwing this at you.
Yeah. I will throw out there the Silver Surfer movie that I mentioned earlier because that's the one that excites me the most. With the Fox properties merging with the Disney properties, Moon Knight would be really, really yes. cool. And it doesn't really matter to me whether it's a Disney Plus series or it's a movie. I don't know if a movie would tie in as well since they want to do a lot of cosmic stuff, I know. Mm-hmm. But from what I understand, each of the Disney Plus series are getting a $100 million budget. Each of them. So if they had that production value for a Moon Knight show,
they could kill
that could be incredible.
Yeah.
Also, the Sentry, I think would be really interesting, especially if they're going the Dark Avengers route. I feel like he's a really big, like, key player. And if they were to maybe build him up on Disney Plus and then introduce him in the Dark Avengers, that would be a cool tie-in.
Yeah.
So those are my big three.
Yeah, Sentry was one of mine. I think he would be really cool to see. Mm-hmm. Like you said, if they're going towards a Dark Avengers route. Honestly, I would love to, if they introduce Doctor Doom, I would love to have like a Doctor Doom movie.
Oh yeah.
Because I think it's about time we get a villain-based MCU movie. I think that would be really cool to set up the next big villain, which I hope it's Doctor Doom or Norman Osborn. One of those two should get their own either spin-off movie or something like that to really bring up who they are and to introduce them. So that would be really cool. Also, I think it would be, I don't really know what other, because the Dark Avengers are kind of like the villains turned heroes, sort of. So I don't really know who else they could really bring up from that comic book that would make a lot of sense.
They've already done Bullseye.
Yeah, well, he's in the Netflix, so they can't bring him in. Mm-hmm. Basically, what you're looking at right now is just Ghost.
Ghost is the only one they've set up as of right now, but these are probably things that are happening pretty far off in the future.
Yeah.
So.
So I would be all for setting up a Dark Avengers movie for DC. Actually, I would love to see a his name just left my mind. Wow, I can't believe this is.
Gotta be Hawkman.
No, not Hawkman. He's actually a villain. And he was at the end of Justice League. Wow, why can't I?
Oh, Deathstroke.
Deathstroke, thank you.
Yes.
I would love to see a Deathstroke movie. I think that would be great. I think DC could benefit from a Deathstroke movie if done correctly because he is a really cool character. So I think that would be really cool to see. And yes, I would like to see, as New World Nerds pointed out, Nico pointed out, Daredevil and Punisher in the movies.
Definitely.
As long as it's like Charlie Cox as Daredevil, please bring him back.
And John Bernthal.
Yes, please bring
They're
him back.
essential.
And I forget his name, who played Kingpin. Bring him to
Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yes, bring him as well. Everybody else can kind of just stay where they are.
I would also submit for DC if they had like a high concept Green Lantern movie.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be killer.
That would be killer.
If they got like a really creative director on board for that, that could be so much fun. Especially if they didn't focus on Hal Jordan, because I think Hal Jordan is really boring, and that's just me. But if they did John Stewart or Kyle Rayner, but if they also included a bunch of different Green Lanterns, Hal Jordan can be there.
Mm-hmm.
I just wouldn't really want him as the main character.
Right.
But if they made it like a movie about a bunch of different Green Lanterns, because I think there are a lot of interesting Green Lanterns you could use.
Yeah. And especially with the narrative that DC is going in now, where like they're their own movies, but they're together at the same time, I think that could work.
Yes.
Really cool. But yeah, I think Marvel is going in the right direction in all of their movies. DC Aquaman was good, which we just brought his name up, sorry. It was good. I just think that there are other directions they can go in, that they need to go in. So I think, but that's a different podcast for a different day, which we'll do a DC podcast, thinking about where they should head and things like that. We'll jump into that at a different date. But we'll go ahead and talk about the big news of the day.
Yes, I'm excited.
The very exciting news. The fact that it came out today, 100 days from Endgame, I think is really smart on their part to do it like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, because I wasn't able to see it when it first came out. When it first dropped, I had to wait like 2 hours, so I was in class, which was killing me knowing that it was out there and I wasn't able to watch it.
I woke up. I've done this actually for the past 3 trailers because they've dropped on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
Which is super nice, but I wake up half an hour before they drop and I get a cup of coffee and like whatever my breakfast is, and I just sit down and hang out on the internet and wait for it to drop. And it's really like serene,
Yeah.
In a blanket, wrapped in a blanket.
Yeah,
That's
I think
what I do on my days
for
off.
Endgame, I just woke up and then like I saw the tweet from the Russo brothers, and then I closed my phone and laid down, and then in my head I was like, wait, the Russo brothers never tweet out. So I woke back up and saw it, and it was the Endgame trailer.
Yeah.
But what we are talking about today is Spider-Man: Far From Home. The trailer finally dropped. It dropped like a month ago in Brazil, and now we finally get to watch it. And it gave nothing away about Endgame. It basically acted like the events from Infinity War hadn't even happened. But Kevin Feige said it's neither a prequel or a sequel to Infinity War or Endgame, which is very exciting.
And that's interesting because a lot of people are saying that the Far From Home trailer gives indications that Tony Stark is dead.
Yeah.
Which I disagree with because they can't give an indication either way whether he's dead or alive. If they were to give an indication, if they were to have him in the trailer, that would show that he's alive. And it's like, okay, we know this happens after Endgame. So they just really didn't touch anything Avengers. So Tony Stark could be alive. We know he's not in the movie. Robert Downey Jr. isn't in the movie. But you wouldn't get away with showing, okay, well, Tony Stark's alive now. So they just...
And you can get away with showing Nick Fury in it because Nick Fury isn't Iron Man. Like, they're 2 different level characters, and so that kind of isn't that, that big of a deal. Which I'm very excited to see Nick Fury in this movie because it looks like they're going in a really cool direction. Because I think they said for all the Spider-Man movies, he's going to have a different mentor. So like the first one obviously was Tony Stark. I think this one's going to be Nick Fury. It would be cool if like the next one is Norman Osborn as the villain, mentoring him. I think that would be really cool. Because
other people were suggesting Doctor Strange as well.
Yeah. But I think if they want to go the Dark Avengers route, I think Norman Osborn would be this really cool character of like, oh, he's a good guy when really he's not. I think that would be a really cool concept to dive into. But
especially if he filled the shoes of Tony Stark, sort of. If Tony Stark were to leave or die, he could take up the Iron Patriot mantle or something kind of like that and lead his own team of Avengers and be like the next Tony Stark of sorts.
Yeah, and like you could have the narrative of like Spider-Man's in it and then he realizes what's going on and you have that whole narrative, so I think that's really cool. One interesting detail from this, if you weren't really paying attention, you probably would have missed. Well, there's two. One, Avengers Tower is in the background, it looks like, and it is under construction. Which could be two different things. It could be either the Baxter Building or it could be Osborn. Thank you. I lost my train of thought for a second. But yeah, I think it would be really cool to see either one of those two. I'm all for either one of them. Which one do you lean more towards?
Realistically, I say Norman Osborn, and I think that's really exciting. Because it seems like they're already kind of planting seeds for him of sorts. And he would make the most sense definitely going forward, since Marvel and Sony have already been in talks about using him. I think also the fact that it shows up in a Spider-Man trailer, they could tease him in Far From Home.
Right.
He could enter the universe as early as Far From Home. The Baxter Building, I don't see it being that because the merger hasn't even gone through yet. It doesn't go through until around March. And while that would be exciting, and maybe after Norman Osborn gets, wrecked by whoever, by Spider-Man, then maybe after that it becomes the Baxter Building and it gets, from Stark Tower to Avengers Tower to Oscorp Tower to the Baxter Building. That would be a really cool progression. But that's like way far off in the future. So I'd say realistically it would be Norman Osborn's tower. While I would like to see it be the Baxter Building, that would be something really cool too. But
I think I lean more towards Norman Osborn as well, just because I think it makes more sense for Osborn to buy it instead of it being the Baxter Building. So I'm all for that. The second detail you may not have noticed, and we haven't even really talked about this, is did you look at Peter's suitcase?
Yeah, I saw that.
And I saw the BJP, like Ben something Parker.
I think it was F.
I forget it was.
Yeah.
But Ben, that's basically Uncle Ben's suitcase. So if that's the only nod we get to Uncle Ben, I'm totally fine with that because I don't want any more nods to Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
We all know how he died, and so that doesn't really need to be brought up. One really interesting thing I thought is the fact that Aunt May is like all for him being Spider-Man.
I love that.
Yeah, it's totally different than what normally goes on, which I think is really cool that she knows, and then that it sets up that whole dynamic. That's really cool.
I think it's really necessary and also really exciting that the MCU's take on Spider-Man has a lot of new and fresh things that we haven't seen before, like Zendaya.
Yes.
Her character Michelle, I think, is a super cool direction to take Mary Jane in. And I love Aunt May. And I really like Flash Thompson. And I really like what they're doing with Ned. And a lot of the characters that are involved. So I think that Spider-Man needed a little bit of a change up, and we've already seen a comics accurate Spider-Man be done really well back in the early 2000s. So I like how they're yeah, sure, fine. But I like how they're, kind of shifting the lore a little bit, but keeping it within the MCU, keeping it something interesting and fresh.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Nico does bring up in the chat that Pepper Potts signed the check that Happy came in with. So she's still alive after Endgame. So that could mean really that could really mean that I think that brings up more questions than answers, which is really cool. And I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, Tony's dead because she signed the check." Go back and watch Iron Man 3. They clearly set up that she is in charge of.
I think Iron Man 2
or Stark Industries. Yeah.
Yeah, I think all the way back in Iron Man 2, she became the CEO of Stark Industries.
Yeah.
And in Age of Ultron, he mentions it again.
Yeah.
So she's been CEO for a super long time, and people are like, she signed the check. That means Tony Stark is dead.
He's not dead. So yeah,
hopefully he's not.
Hopefully not. Hopefully. Because I think Tony's a character that you can keep around after Endgame. And like he can make, whenever you want to pay through the nose to have him make a cameo. Especially if they want to do Dark Avengers. Because like he could, you could set up the Secret Invasion movie, just one movie, because I don't want a whole storyline about the Secret Invasion. But I like one storyline of the Secret Invasion, and then you could go right into the Dark Avengers where Tony gets blamed for it all, and then he takes the heat for that, and then that sets up the Dark Avengers. But Tony's been through so much already.
That's my problem. Is like Tony gets blamed for everything, and like all the stuff that he wants to do right ends up coming around and biting him, and then it's his fault again.
Yeah.
So it's like, I hope that if Endgame is like the payoff for Tony, and whether he lives or dies, it's like, I think it'll be done really well. But it's like, he's already been through so much.
He's been through too much that...
And like, everything is his fault, and he's just trying to be a nice guy.
Well, sort of. Ultron was definitely his fault.
But again, that was him trying to protect the world.
Yeah.
So.
And he says Endgame in that movie. Everybody mind freaked out.
We can bust arms dealers all the live long day.
Yeah.
Put that up there. That's the end.
That's the end game. But yeah, this trailer did not give us anything. But it gave us a lot at the same time as well, which I love.
Yeah. Sony has a tendency to kind of give away a lot of the points in the movie in their trailers. I loved how much action there was in this trailer.
Yes.
And that's a lot of what we saw. I think the reason that the trailer was so bare, compared to some of Sony's other trailers, was because of Avengers Endgame and because of all the spoilers they have to dodge in regards to that. But all the action I really, really enjoyed.
Yeah. I'll let you go ahead and bring up your...
My main point, my favorite part of the whole trailer is my man, Mysterio, coming in like a god. Just beautiful, and I don't think it could be more perfect.
No.
Mysterio is easily my favorite Spider-Man villain in the comics, and then we found out that he's going to be in this movie, and Jake Gyllenhaal is playing him, and I'm like, they have to nail it, and it looks like they absolutely nailed it.
Yeah.
I feel like there are interesting directions they could take Mysterio, and we already know that he's kind of going to be a hero for a little while. His whole thing is that he tricks people, and he's a master VFX artist.
Right.
But Nick Fury is going to hire him and Spider-Man to work together to fight the Elementals, which in this movie are going to be basically Sandman, Hydro Man, and Molten Man. Now, like the easy conclusion to jump to is that Mysterio created those. He kind of did what Syndrome did in The Incredibles, and like created this fake threat to make himself look like the hero.
Right.
That might be what happens. I also think another interesting direction is that this Mysterio can actually use magic, and that these are magical entities that he's kind of allied with, again, to make himself look like the hero. But I feel like they could kind of pull the rug out from under people who already think that they know what's happening.
Yeah.
Or they could not, and it would still be really fun.
Yeah.
I don't feel like this movie is going to be one with like a ton of surprises. I just think it'll be a fun ride after Endgame, because Endgame's going to be heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But I hope that it's more of a deeper fun ride than Ant-Man and the Wasp was. You know what I mean?
I hope.
Because that was not... That movie basically didn't do anything except for the end trailer. And so, like...
Right. I think there will be more happening.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. In Spider-Man.
But I will say Jake Gyllenhaal kills it already. In the trailer, the line of dialogue he has, when he said it, I was like, I am on board for this movie.
I'm ready for Mysterio to become my new favorite MCU character.
Yeah.
Because Vulture is top 5 for me right now.
Yeah.
I love the Vulture. Like, I could talk about him.
I think he's in this movie?
For a whole episode. He is. Yeah.
So.
And I think Shocker's in this movie. And Tinkerer. There's a lot.
Yeah. More than likely, they're probably setting up for the third Spider-Man movie to be the Sinister Six.
And Matt Gargan, who he was in Homecoming, but he's the guy who's in the Scorpion suit.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be in this movie too.
Yeah.
So it's like there are a lot of things happening with Spider-Man,
which would be really cool because you could bring some of these characters for the Dark Avengers, which I know I'm heavy on the Dark Avengers, but just
you could totally
because they've mentioned Dark Avengers a lot.
Just use Mysterio as much as possible.
Yes,
that's what.
Don't kill him off. Do not kill him off.
Yeah, that would
leave him to be, because what could very well much happen is, like, at the very end of this movie, you could have Norman Osborn set up the Sinister Six, which, you know, that puts him as the villain for, like, the entire MCU, but, like, nobody knows who he's the one pulling the strings behind everything, which I love. I'm a sucker for a story like that where it's like, yeah, this guy has been in charge the entire time. And, like, the audience knows it, but, like, none of the heroes know it. And so, like, I really enjoy movies like that, and I think MCU could really handle that very well.
Or if he becomes Green Goblin and nobody knows that it's him, and then once the Sinister Six gets defeated, he's like, I have a new plan.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm going to get clout, and I'm going to form this team of heroes instead of this team of villains, and I'm going to be a hero instead of a villain.
Yeah.
And then once that's all built up, then I'm going to, you know, tear everything down.
That's basically, I think, what the Dark Avengers comic is.
Right.
To an extent.
But they could skip over the Green Goblin part, but I do think if they're going to do Sinister Six, that'd be a cool way to, like, shift Norman Osborn.
Yeah.
Shift his character.
Plus, I wouldn't be against, like, Doc Ock showing up as well, because he's one of my favorites as well, so...
Right. I would say I do really enjoy what Spider-Man's doing right now, and that he's fighting more, like, smaller villains, and he's got, like, this really big cast of smaller villains, and, like, Vulture and Mysterio, who have never been done before. I would be really excited to see some of his bigger villains, not Venom. Don't do the symbiote in the MCU, please. But I would be excited to see some big time villains, as long as they go kind of light on them.
Yeah.
And they juggle them properly.
Yeah.
Because it's like with the Raimi trilogy, once you got to Spider-Man 3, they were trying to juggle 3 different things.
And it didn't work. It
didn't work at all.
Yeah.
But already the MCU Spider-Man is juggling a ton of different things, and it's doing it really, really well. It's staying light on its feet.
Yeah. Really, I don't see any way that this could, well, knock on wood, I don't see any way that this could really go wrong.
No, I think it'll be good.
Yeah. I think the 3 movies we get this year from the MCU, all 3 of them are going to be standouts.
I think this will be the best. This could be the best year for the MCU ever. Mm-hmm. And I'll say that I think that as of right now, 2017 is reigning champion with Spider-Man Homecoming, Thor Ragnarok, and Guardians Volume 2.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just kind of, in my opinion, I think that Spider-Man Homecoming was totally a standout, and Thor Ragnarok was a standout, and Guardians Volume 2 was pretty solid.
Yeah. I would have said that 2018 was their best year, but Ant-Man and the Wasp kind of...
Yeah, I wouldn't say that also because I'm not the biggest Black Panther fan, too. 2014 was also a fantastic year. So it's like, for me right now, 2017, 2014, with Captain America Winter Soldier and Guardians of the Galaxy came out that year. Were both super great.
What came out in 2015 besides Civil War?
Ultron and Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Oh, Ultron ruined that.
And then, Ultron and Ant-Man. And then 2016 was Civil War and Doctor Strange, which was a pretty good year.
Yeah.
But I'd say 2019 could be the best year for the MCU so far.
Yeah.
Could. We'll have to see.
I could definitely see that. Because I don't see... And people can hate on Captain Marvel all they want. I am beyond excited for that movie. Mm-hmm. I think Brie Larson will kill it no matter what she does. I don't care if she smiles a lot or not. It does not bother me. So...
because you're a rational human being?
Yeah, because people smile. Oh, did you know that? People smile and people don't smile. So it's a stupid thing. But I'm all for... Like, I think Captain Marvel will be amazing. I think obviously Endgame will be emotional, and
I think I'm already sure it'll be great.
And then I think Spider-Man Far From Home, just from the trailer we got, I think it will be really, really good as well. So I expect this year to be probably the best year for the MCU. But I think it's going to be amazing. It's going to be really good to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just excited to see where they go from here. Like, I'm very excited to see what they're setting up for the future of the MCU. I'm all for Mysterio sticking around. I'm all for... Okay, I don't understand the narrative of a superhero movie where they think they have to kill off the main villain. You know what I mean? Because, like, most superhero movies fall under that. Well, most MCU movies fall under that.
I'd say it's difficult to juggle a villain, especially depending on their power level.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say it's difficult to justify a villain's existence if you're not going to end up using them again in like a major capacity.
Right.
And I can see why they kept Vulture around. First of all, because Spider-Man is oriented more towards younger audiences.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of got a different feel to it, and Peter Parker is a kid. And I can see them trying to set up Sinister Six later, which would be super cool. So I can see why they're keeping him around. I can see why they kept a couple other villains around. But for the most part, I understand why they would kill off... You know, I don't fully get it, but like I can understand why they would kill off some of their lesser villains that are kind of difficult to justify. Oh yeah, they're out there somewhere.
Right.
Now with Loki it works.
Right.
And with Bucky it works. And with, you know, several other people who are going to contribute later on who don't pose like an immediate threat, I can see it.
Right.
But still.
And there's still, you know, there's still that chance that, because when Red Skull came back, I think that kind of threw everything in the air.
Yeah.
Because
cool.
Ultron could still be around, you know.
Technically, yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot that they could end up doing. Just because they're still around doesn't mean we want them around, too, as well.
Right.
But yeah, I've told you this, and I've said it several times on the podcast as well. I really hope they keep Thanos around. I highly doubt they do, but I think him being left in the cosmos as like this threat that could pop up at any second, I think is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really cool idea, so I'm all for that. But yeah, like this movie is Spider-Man: Far From Home is going to be great. We actually had a tweet from New World Nerds. I tweeted out about asking what people thought about it. He said, "Fishbowl head, aka Mysterio, is what makes me the most excited and curious how his heel turn will work." That's a wrestling thing too as well. So, also Nick Fury is still awesome. 2019 Year of the Fury, and I agree with that. 2019 is going to be the Year of the Fury.
He's going to be in all three.
Yes, and a big part. Well, maybe not in Endgame, but a decent part in each one, which is really cool.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see the dynamic between Captain Marvel and him.
Totally.
I think that buddy cop thing is going to be really cool. And then him mentoring Peter, I think, could be a lot of funny moments and like great moments in this movie as well. So
absolutely. Which Samuel L. Jackson already, he said this past week that he would enjoy playing Nick Fury into his 80s.
Which I'm fine
even
with.
though his 9-picture contract, he signed a 9-picture contract with Marvel Studios. It's already up, but he just really likes playing the role.
Yeah.
So he's like, I could end up playing him into my 80s, and I would love that.
Well, his character
and we would love it too.
Yes, his character is different than like Cap and Iron Man in that like he shows up in these movies, but he's not like the main person of these movies, you know.
Right.
So like Iron Man, he just showed up in the end credit scene. Avengers, he was probably the most heavy, either Avengers or Winter Soldier.
Mm-hmm.
But like. He just showed up at the end of Age of Ultron, saved the day. Like he just shows up at random times, which is awesome. So I am all for him playing Nick Fury into his 80s. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So really like nothing the best thing the MCU does, and we've said this several times, is casting. And so I think that's why I'm fine with like whoever they pick to play these parts. I'm not as worried about as I am with like the world of DC and things like that.
Never.
So I'm totally on board with whoever they decide to bring in. But yeah, I think it will be great, no matter what happens. So I'm all on board for the MCU this year.
Mm-hmm.
We actually we skipped one, which we can jump back in real quick and talk about, which is the Glass reviews, how bad they've been. I don't remember what it's at right now. Do you know? I think it was like the last time I saw it was like a 36 on Rotten Tomatoes.
See, because I've never seen Split or Unbreakable, so I don't have
You need to go watch
massive interest. I will watch them eventually. But I know that this is kind of the first geek pop culture movie to come out for this year.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that's why they dropped the Far From Home trailer right now, is to coincide with the release.
Yeah. So, I don't care what anybody says, I'm still going to go see it probably Friday when it comes out. So I'm all on board on that. But yeah, I am very excited for the movies in 2019. I'm very excited for all 3 MCU movies. I'm even excited for Episode 9. All the Disney Pixar movies and the live action movies. I'm all on board for that. So I think this might be one of the best years for film in a while.
For pop culture film?
Yes. Which you need a good year for pop culture film every once in a while, which I'm all on board for. So, but yeah, I think that might do it for this week's episode. Do you have anything else to bring up?
We have one question in the chat, which we should address, which is, I don't know if you guys have already talked about this, but do you think that Tony will die in Endgame?
I'll let you.
The answer to that is, I have no idea, but...
What does your gut say?
Probably yes.
What does your heart say?
No, my heart says please.
Leave him.
No.
Leave him. He needs to live. I don't think he dies. And my reasoning behind that is that he has already, like we've already mentioned, he's already been through so much. Like, him dying doesn't feel like a great payoff. You know what I mean? Him being the one to, like, if they do kill off Thanos, him being the one to deliver the killing blow, I think would be sort of a redemption story because of, Thanos was the one that brought the attack on New York, basically, and because of that, Age of Ultron happened, and Civil War happened because of that, and so, like, all these effects basically started because of Thanos' attack in New York. So I think the best payoff is for him to deliver the killing blow. I already said I think Cap's dead. I don't think they'll kill off both of their major characters. I said that, and I didn't think they would do the snap either. But yeah, I think Tony's more likely to live than Cap is, I think.
Then again, I would say that Tony's arc revolves more around sacrifice. I'd say that both of their arcs revolve around sacrifice. And like in the first Avengers, Tony's the one who flew the nuke into the wormhole.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll just have to see.
And in Cap's first movie, he's the one that drove the plane into the ice and everything else. So, and at the end of Infinity War, he basically was going to take Vision's place in that fight. So I think it's up in the air. But I lean more towards Cap dying than Iron Man dying, which I don't want either one of them to die. But if they have to go, they have to go. Set up more.
And I think no matter what they do with either, it's going to be respectful and it's going to feel earned.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to do a really good job with it because, like I said before, Marcus and McFeely and the Russo brothers have been working with Captain America since Winter Soldier. Yeah. And they understand Tony extremely well. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I expect everyone's character arc in this movie to be resolved in some way. Because the Russo brothers handled Thor very well as well.
Definitely.
And they didn't really handle the Hulk yet, so like that's still up in the air.
Right, but from what we hear, they have an interesting idea for him going into Endgame.
Right.
Which I'm super excited for because Infinity War was not a great Hulk movie.
No, it was not. Which I was fine with. Like, a lot of people hated that, but like, if you were the Hulk and you had been the one to save the day at the last second, every movie, you would want to, like, no, I'm done. Like, I'm taking a break. I'm, fight for yourself.
And then it's just going to be more payoff.
Yeah.
In Endgame.
Yeah. And they haven't handled Hawkeye yet, but already in the trailer, it looks like they're going to kill it with Hawkeye. So I'm all on board with that. And really, Black Widow in Infinity War had a bigger part than I thought she would, which I'm fine with because I think she is a character that deserves a big payoff as well.
And she'll have an even bigger part.
Yeah.
In Endgame, but they've again been working with her since Winter Soldier too.
Right, so they know how she works as well. So, I'm telling you, the Russo brothers could direct any MCU movie, and I'm on board. let them just direct like all the major events in the MCU, because they already said they wanted to do Secret Wars,
Yeah.
which that would be amazing visually, and I think picture wise that would be amazing. So, but yeah, I'm all on board for whatever they do. I know we're Marvel fanboys, but hey, I'm alright with that. I accept that role in my life. So,
Me too.
do you have anything else that you would like to mention or bring up, or any other thoughts on the trailer or anything?
I think we got it all covered.
I think we did. You can follow me on Twitter at I'm Andy York. Jason Momoa hasn't tweeted Jason yet, so he still does not have a Twitter that he uses. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Nerd Crew Podcast. You can find our YouTube channel on youtube.com. Type in the Nerd Crew and we will pop up. You can listen to our podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play. And whatever format or platform you're listening to, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, rate, review, all of that great stuff so that we can move up in the charts and so that more people can hear this wonderful podcast that everybody should be listening to, which I think we all can agree. This is the best podcast of all time. Best podcast of all time. So we are very excited for the future. This is our second episode in 2019, and it's already been a big one. So we're excited to see what goes on in the future. We don't know what next week's episode will be on yet. We'll probably tweet out Monday or Tuesday next week and ask for questions and things like that. So make sure that you are paying attention to that. But I believe that will do it for this week's episode. For Jason, I'm Andy York. Thank you so much for listening.